We are back. Sorry I've been MIA for the past couple of days. I had a big 50th birthday that I had to go to this weekend, but some massive news has dropped while I've been away, and we're going to go through it, see how it affects the Springboks, and more importantly, see how it affects our game against Ireland coming up. Now, World Rugby have come out and changed a couple of laws within the game, and it's a bit of an understatement to say that people are upset. They are absolutely furious, and especially Springbok fans. Now, as you'll know by now, World Rugby changed the kicking offside rule, they banned the crocodile roll, and most importantly, they removed the scrum option from the free kick, which is absolutely massive, and I'm going to explain why it's so big and why there's almost an infinite glitch and how teams can definitely abuse this rule to improve their game and to help their game plan. Now, these law changes are a little bit strange just because of what World Rugby said around Damien Willems' scrum call off a mark for the first time ever in the France game back in the World Cup. Here is what World Rugby said: mark to scrum, bold but brilliant from Damien Willems. And now just a couple of months later, they've changed that rule so that Damien Willems could inherently not do that again. So it's kind of a catch-22 for World Rugby. You can't go compliment something and then take it away, which is why, again, I think a lot of people are outraged by this. Now, it was the first time that a scrum had been called from a mark, and we saw through Chasing the Sun 2 that they revealed that Rassie Erasmus and the coaching staff of the Springboks, their game plan was to allow France to scrum against the Springboks. They needed more scrums in the game so that they could tire out France's forward pack, and therefore the bomb squad could be a little bit more effective. As we saw in Chasing the Sun, the French forwards just stand in the middle of the pitch. They don't move while a kicking battle is going on. They recover, they rest well. So Rassie Erasmus and the coaching staff inevitably said, let's call a scrum off a mark, tire them out, back our scrum, back our most important weapon, and use it against France, which was absolutely brilliant and innovative. I mean, we've seen Rassie Erasmus and the Springboks innovate the bomb squad. We saw them innovate this move to tire out the French forwards. And as a Springbok fan myself, and as you can see online about what Springbok fans are saying, I do think it is a little bit intentional. It does feel at least a little bit intentional that World Rugby is trying to take the Springboks' strongest weapon away that's now won them 2 World Cups in a row, trying to depower teams with strong scrums and taking that aspect of the game out. Yes, I do understand that they want to speed up the game. They want to make it more entertaining. They want to pull in more eyeballs. And yes, I also read an article about what Jake White said, and he said that the rules of rugby don't get changed for the professional game. They get changed for the children's game. Less scrums in children's rugby will result in more children playing rugby because it's a little bit safer, which I do understand where Jake White's coming from. And obviously we want more kids to play the game of rugby, which will make it a bigger game, make it more entertaining. There'll be more talent to pick from. But I do think there has to be a differentiation between the professional game at a World Cup level, where a scrum is one of the most prominent factors in a rugby game, and a schoolboy game where maybe the scrum rules are a little bit changed. I mean, we already see that schoolboys can't push more than 1.5 meters past a scrum. So there are differences in the rules. So I do think maybe that just has to be cleared up just a little bit. So just to tie that all nicely together, World Rugby are definitely trying to speed up the game. But this again brings into the question Rugby League. There is a game called Rugby League where there aren't scrums, there aren't lineouts. And why is World Rugby trying to make Rugby Union as similar to Rugby League? Yes, it's a little bit faster, but if it was that popular, surely more countries would be playing it. Surely there'd be a bigger World Cup. Surely it would be more popular. So this is my message to World Rugby: is don't try and take away what Rugby Union is and try and turn it into something else that already exists, because you've got a working product here. Yes, I do agree scrums take up a lot of time in a game, and as we dive into how Ireland could potentially use this to their advantage, I'll show you just how many scrums the Springboks have taken against Ireland in their last couple of games. But maybe just like they've implemented a shot clock for conversions and penalties, put a shot clock on a scrum, or don't start the time until the ball is fed into the scrum. There's a lot of different ways that World Rugby could have gone about this, of trying to make the game a little bit faster, more time with the ball in the player's hands and not so much dead time. I think that is a way better suggestion, to only start the time once the ball is in the scrum than to start it a minute or two before while they are busy getting ready, because then we'll still have the same amount of scrums but more time to play. So now we can talk about the big test match between the Springboks and Ireland, and maybe how this rule is going to affect that test match. Now, the Springboks play Ireland on the 6th of July and the 13th of July. This rule will be implemented as of the 1st of July 2024. So the Springboks will play against Wales on the 22nd of June, and this will not be implemented. Then they play Ireland on the 6th of July, and then it'll be implemented. So how can Ireland sort of use this to their advantage, and also how can South Africa use this to their advantage? Now, in their World Cup game between South Africa and Ireland in the group stages, where Ireland beat them 13-8, or beat us 13-8, shall I say. There were a total of 18 scrums in that game. 11 for the Springboks and 7 for Ireland. And while, yes, that is a lot of scrums and a lot of time potentially wasted on the scrums, it just shows you how many scrums there are in a game and how powerful that weapon for the Springboks can be. Let's say there's another 18 scrums in that first test at Loftus. As we know, Loftus is one of the most difficult places to go and play because of the altitude, because of the heat. It's just a very difficult place to go and try and get a result as an away side. Now, that is where the bomb squad of the Springboks comes in, because they come on in those last 30-40 minutes and it's a whole new pack against these fatigued bunch of forwards. In this case, it'll be Ireland, where now, whenever Ireland knock on the ball, they could give away a free kick at a scrum, and then they don't have to scrum the Springboks. Therefore, their forwards get to rest. There's not as much space out wide. They could potentially get the ball back, because depending on where the scrum is on the field, the Springboks will just have to do an up and under or kick it out, and then it's Ireland's ball. So there's a lot of loopholes that can happen with this law. What I do think we'll see is that after a couple of free kicks are given away, then it'll be a long arm penalty, because otherwise we're just going to have a game without any scrums. Think about it from Ireland's point of view. Think about it from Rassie's point of view. If you know that you don't have to scrum, would you not put 8 flankers or 8 loose forwards into that pack? Because you can just not give away a penalty, not give away a free kick, not even have to scrum, and have a lot more agile players on the field trying to take on this Irish side. So there is this sort of glitch with this rule, like an infinite glitch, where you just don't have to scrum. You knock the ball on, you give away a free kick, you don't have to scrum. They either kick it back to you or they have to run it back to you. You knock it on there, you don't have to scrum. I mean, it just becomes a little bit repetitive in my mind, so it is going to be interesting to see how they counteract that, because that is what can ruin test matches. That is what can ruin the game of rugby. We need to see, it is a dominant physical game, and we need to see those scrums. That is what's made the Springboks so good. And don't get me wrong, Ireland also have a great pack. They also have a great scrum. So they might want to take on the Springboks in a scrum, but what is stopping them from giving away free kicks and not having to scrum the Springboks, therefore disadvantaging the Springboks, taking away their most lethal weapon? And now Ireland are suddenly less fatigued. They can run the ball a lot more, which we know they like to do. They're very clever, very witty side that can definitely tear the Springboks apart if they don't have to scrum them. But then again, on the other side, maybe Rassie Erasmus doesn't want to scrum against Ireland. So it's going to be very interesting to see who is selected, how this rule gets played out, because yes, it's been tested, but I don't think it's been tested on this level. No one thought Damian Willemse was ever going to call a scrum from a mark, which is why that was allowed, why that rule hadn't been changed for years and years and years. Now with this, it suddenly takes out props. It suddenly allows forward packs to be a lot less fatigued on the field. It allows for a lot more running rugby. Yes, I agree. But it also takes away the weapons of the Springboks. So I'm just pleading to World Rugby. Let's see how it goes. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Do you agree? Do you disagree with this? I'm of the opinion that I don't agree with this, but let's see how it unfolds. Yes, I get what Jake White said about these rules are made for children. We need to change that as well. World Rugby at the highest level need to have different rules to an under 7 and under 8, under 9, under 10 child playing the game of rugby. And it's just one of these things that we're just going to have to keep ironing out. So yeah, like I said, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. How is this test against Ireland and the Springboks going to go? Who's going to win it? And how the forward pack's going to get on? If you haven't, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Leave this video a like. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take it easy. Peace.